The rhythmic scraping of steel against stone filled the mess hall kitchen as Lina methodically sharpened the blade, her movements precise and practiced in a way that suggested years of familiarity with the task. To the soldiers grabbing their morning coffee, she was just another civilian contractor handling kitchen duties, invisible and unremarkable. But when Sergeant Torres caught sight of the small notches carved into Blade's spine, 17 tiny marks that told a story no kitchen worker should know, his blood ran cold, and he realized they had all been sharing meals prepared by someone whose past was written in a language of violence they couldn't begin to comprehend. Welcome to those who left a trace, where ordinary people carry the most extraordinary secrets. Before we dive into this incredible story that will leave you speechless, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe that everyone deserves respect no matter how they appear on the surface, hit that subscribe button and join our community that honors the hidden warriors among us. The morning sun cast long shadows across Camp Meridian as Lina Cross began her daily routine in the mess hall kitchen. At 29 years old, she stood 5 feet 4 inches tall with long black hair that she kept braided and tucked under a hairnet during work hours. Her dark brown eyes held a quiet intensity that most people mistook for simple concentration on her culinary tasks, never suspecting the depth of training and experience that lay behind that focused gaze. Lina wore the standard white uniform of kitchen staff, chef's coat, black pants, and non-slip shoes that allowed her to move efficiently through the busy kitchen environment. Around her waist, she carried a roll of professional knives that appeared to be standard culinary tools, their familiar appearance masking the specialized modifications that only an expert would recognize. To the soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division stationed at Camp Meridian, Lina was simply Cross, the civilian contractor who prepared their meals with competent efficiency. She had been working in the mess hall for 8 months, arriving each morning at 0500 hours to begin food preparation for the day service. Her work was professional and unremarkable, the kind of reliable kitchen operation that soldiers took for granted. What none of them knew was that Lina's culinary skills had been developed during 5 years of deep cover operations with a classified special operations unit that officially didn't exist. Her ability to prepare meals wasn't just professional training. It was survival skill developed in environments where poison detection and improvised weapons could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. Sergeant Marcus Torres represented the typical attitude that most military personnel held toward civilian contractors like Lina. At 34 years old, Torres was a career soldier with 12 years of service and the kind of confidence that came from leading men in combat situations. He viewed civilian support staff as necessary but unremarkable components of military operations, people who performed important but unexciting functions that required little specialized training. Morning Cross, Torres said as he entered the kitchen to grab coffee before the morning briefing, his tone carrying the casual indifference that had become routine in their daily interactions. He moved through the kitchen area with the purposeful stride of someone who had places to be and important things to do. Lina looked up from her knife sharpening station and nodded professionally. "Good morning, Sergeant Torres. Coffee's fresh, and breakfast service starts in 30 minutes. Torres poured his coffee and glanced around the kitchen, noting the efficient organization and cleanliness that marked Lina's management of the operation. Despite his dismissive attitude toward civilian contractors, he had to admit that the food quality had improved significantly since Lina's assignment to Camp Meridian. "Any special preparations today?" Torres asked, making conversation while he waited for his coffee to cool to drinking temperature. Lina continued her knife maintenance as she responded, "Standard breakfast service, but I'm preparing a special meal for the visiting VIPs this evening. Colonel Harrison requested something that would represent the best of our kitchen capabilities." Torres nodded absently, his attention already shifting to the day's military responsibilities. To him, Lina's food preparation was simply another logistical element that needed to function smoothly to support military operations. What Torres didn't realize was that Lina's special meal preparation involved the same meticulous planning and attention to detail that she had once applied infiltration missions in hostile territory. Her understanding of food chemistry, ingredient interactions, and presentation techniques had been developed not just through culinary training, but through operations where a single mistake could compromise an entire mission. As Torres left the kitchen, Lina returned her attention to the knife sharpening that had become a meditative routine during her months at Camp Meridian. The blade she worked on appeared to be a standard chef's knife, 8 inches of high-carbon steel, with a comfortable handle and professional balance. To casual observation, it was exactly the kind of tool that any competent cook would maintain with careful attention. But Lina's knife carried modifications that no standard culinary blade would possess. The steel had been specially treated for enhanced edge retention and corrosion resistance. The handle contained a small compartment for emergency supplies. Most significantly, the spine of the blade bore 17 small notches, each one precisely carved and carefully maintained. Those notches represented something that no kitchen worker should possess: a kill count. Each mark on the blade spine commemorated a successful termination during Lina's 5 years with Task Force Shadow, the classified special operations unit that conducted high-value target elimination in environments where conventional military action was impossible. The knife had been her primary close-quarters weapon during operations that required silent and efficient elimination of hostile personnel. Lina's transformation from elite operative to civilian contractor had begun 18 months earlier when a mission in Eastern Europe went catastrophically wrong. Political complications required her immediate extraction from active duty and the complete erasure of her service record from official databases. Her identity was classified, her existence denied, and her very presence on Earth officially deleted from government acknowledgement. The transition from conducting classified assassinations to preparing military meals had been devastating, but Lina had accepted it as the price of serving her country in operations that required absolute deniability. Her expertise in close-quarters combat, infiltration techniques, and target elimination was now channeled into menu planning and food preparation. So Lina Cross, former Special Operations assassin, became Lina Cross, civilian kitchen contractor, assigned to routine duties at a military installation where her lethal skills remained completely hidden from view. It was a form of professional exile that she endured with the same discipline and precision that had marked her operational service. The irony wasn't lost on her as she prepared meals for soldiers who had no idea they were being fed by someone whose combat record exceeded most of their own. Camp Meridian security protocols, emergency response procedures, even the layout of the mess hall. Lina had provided input on all of these systems during her transition from active duty to civilian contractor status. As the morning progressed, Lina continued her food preparation while observing the steady stream of military personnel who moved through the mess hall. Her situational awareness remained at the level required for operational security, automatically cataloging potential threats, escape routes, and tactical advantages that her environment provided. Private Johnson, a 19-year-old soldier on his first deployment, approached the kitchen area around 0800 hours with the eager enthusiasm of someone still adjusting to military life. Johnson was tall and lean, with the kind of earnest dedication that reminded Lina of the young operatives she had once trained for classified missions. "Ms. Cross," Johnson said politely, "I was wondering if you could teach me some cooking techniques. I'd like to learn some skills for when I get out of service." Lina paused in her knife work and studied the young soldier with the analytical assessment that had become second nature during her operational years. Johnson's request was innocent enough, but her training compelled her to evaluate every interaction for potential security implications. "What kind of cooking are you interested in learning?" Lina asked, her tone professional but not unfriendly. Johnson's enthusiasm was evident as he responded, "I'd love to learn knife skills. You always seem so precise and confident when you're preparing ingredients. It's like watching an artist work." Lina felt a flash of concern at Johnson's observation about her knife work. Her blade techniques had been developed for combat efficiency rather than culinary aesthetics, and she had to consciously modify her movements to avoid displaying the lethal precision that marked her operational training. "Knife skills require practice and patience," Lina replied carefully. "I can show you some basic techniques, but remember that professional level skills take years to develop." Johnson nodded eagerly. I understand. I just want to learn the fundamentals. Lina selected a basic chef's knife from her roll and began demonstrating fundamental cutting techniques, carefully moderating her movements to display competent but unremarkable culinary skills. Her operational knife remained secured in its specialized position, its distinctive markings hidden from casual observation. As she guided Johnson through basic knife handling, Lina found herself reflecting on the dramatic contrast between her current role and her previous missions. The same hands that had once eliminated high-value targets in hostile territory were now teaching a young soldier how to dice onions safely and efficiently. The training session was interrupted by the arrival of Staff Sergeant Williams, a 31-year-old non-commissioned officer with 8 years of service and the kind of no-nonsense attitude that came from managing younger soldiers. Williams had observed Johnson's impromptu cooking lesson and approached with the protective concern of a seasoned NCO. Johnson, what are you doing here? Williams asked, his tone carrying mild reproach. You should be preparing for the morning training exercise. Johnson straightened to attention. Staff Sergeant, I was just learning some basic cooking techniques from Ms. Cross. I thought it might be useful skill development. Williams glanced at Lina with the polite acknowledgement that military personnel typically showed to civilian contractors. Ms. Cross, I appreciate you taking time to help Johnson, but he needs to focus on his military training during duty hours. Lina nodded understanding. Of course, Staff Sergeant. Johnson showed good initiative and wanted to learn new skills. Williams softened slightly at Lina's diplomatic response. Johnson does show initiative, sometimes in areas that aren't his primary responsibility. Johnson, thank Ms. Cross and get to the training area. As Johnson left the kitchen, Williams lingered briefly to make conversation with Lina. Despite his dismissive attitude toward civilian contractors, he had developed a grudging respect for the efficiency and quality of her kitchen operations. Ms. Cross, your food preparation has been excellent since you arrived here, Williams said. The soldiers appreciate having meals that actually taste good. Lina acknowledged the compliment with professional courtesy. Thank you, Staff Sergeant. I try to maintain the highest standards in food service. Williams noted the precision of her language and the confidence with which she discussed professional standards. Something about her manner suggested training, an experience that went beyond basic culinary skills. Where did you learn cooking? Williams asked. Your techniques seem quite advanced for standard food service. Lina maintained her cover while providing enough information to satisfy curiosity. I've had extensive training in food preparation and kitchen management. I try to apply the best practices I've learned. Williams nodded, but Lina could see the analytical assessment in his eyes as he processed her response. Military NCOs were trained to evaluate personnel and identify potential assets or concerns, and her competence was registering on his professional radar. Well, keep up the good work, Williams said as he prepared to leave. The soldiers notice quality, even if they don't always say so. As Williams departed, Lina returned to her knife maintenance routine, but she was now aware that her performance was attracting more attention than she preferred. Maintaining operational security required balancing competent performance with avoiding the kind of excellence that would prompt uncomfortable questions about her background. The morning continued with standard food service operations as soldiers filed through the mess hall for breakfast. Lina coordinated the serving line with the same efficient precision that had marked her mission planning during operational assignments, ensuring that food quality and service speed met the demands of military scheduling. Around 1,000 hours, Lina received notification that she would need to prepare a formal dinner for visiting VIPs that evening. The requirement included security considerations and dietary restrictions that would challenge even experienced caterers. But Lina approached the task with a methodical planning that had characterized her approach to complex missions. The VIP dinner required her to work with ingredients and techniques that drew more heavily on her specialized training. As she planned a menu and coordinated logistics, Lina found herself applying skills that had been developed for operations where food preparation might involve poison detection, improvised weapons, or emergency communication methods. Lieutenant Rebecca Stone, the base's logistics officer, arrived at the kitchen around 1,100 hours to coordinate the evening's VIP dinner arrangements. Stone was 28 years old, a capable officer with 4 years of service, and the kind of attention to detail that made her an effective coordinator of complex operations. Ms. Cross, Stone said as she approached Lina's preparation area, I need to review the evening's menu and security protocols for the VIP dinner. We have some specific dietary requirements and safety considerations that need to be addressed. Lina paused in her ingredient preparation and turned her attention to Stone's requirements. Her operational experience had taught her to analyze security protocols from multiple perspectives, and she quickly identified potential vulnerabilities in the proposed arrangements. Lieutenant, I've reviewed the dietary restrictions and prepared alternative options for each course, Lina replied, producing a detailed menu plan that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of both culinary and security considerations. However, I have some concerns about the serving protocols that might create security vulnerabilities. Stone examined Lina's menu with growing surprise at the level of detail and professional competence it demonstrated. The planning showed awareness of security considerations that exceeded what you would expect from a civilian contractor. What kind of security concerns? Stone asked, noting the analytical precision with which Lina had approached the planning process. Lina pointed to specific elements of the proposed service protocol. The current serving arrangement creates opportunities for unauthorized access to food preparation areas and serving personnel. I'd recommend modified procedures that maintain service quality while enhancing security oversight. Stone studied Lina's recommendations with growing respect for the sophistication of her analysis. The suggested modifications demonstrated understanding of security protocols that typically required specialized training to recognize. Ms. Cross, your security awareness is quite impressive, Stone observed. Have you worked VIP events before? Lina maintained her cover while providing enough information to establish credibility. I've had experience with high-security food service operations. I try to anticipate potential problems before they develop. Stone nodded, making notations about Lina's recommendations in her planning documents. I'll coordinate these security modifications with the base security office. Your input has been very valuable. As Stone left the kitchen, Lina returned to her preparation work, but she was increasingly aware that her expertise was drawing attention from multiple military personnel. Her operational training compelled her to maintain cover, but her professional standards required her to provide the best possible service, even when it risked exposure. The afternoon passed with intensive preparation for the evening's VIP dinner. Lina coordinated with kitchen staff, managed ingredient logistics, and implemented the security protocols she had recommended to Lieutenant Stone. Her performance demonstrated the same meticulous attention to detail that had marked her operational missions. Around 1,500 hours, Sergeant Torres returned to the kitchen for his routine afternoon inspection of civilian contractor operations. Torres had developed a comfortable routine with Lina over the months, viewing her as a competent but unremarkable component of the base's food service operations. Cross, how are the VIP dinner preparations progressing? Torres asked, conducting a standard review of kitchen operations and food safety protocols. Lina looked up from her preparation work, where she had been coordinating the complex logistics required for the evening service. Everything is on schedule, Sergeant. I'm just finishing the final preparations for this evening service. Torres moved through the kitchen area, noting the level of organization and efficiency that marked Lina's management of the operation. As he observed her work, he found himself impressed by the sophistication of her preparation techniques and the precision with which she handled complex culinary requirements. You seem to have everything well organized, Torres commented, watching as Lina returned to her knife maintenance routine. The level of planning you put into this dinner is quite impressive. Lina acknowledged his observation while continuing her work. VIP events require careful coordination and attention to detail. I try to anticipate potential challenges before they develop. Torres nodded approvingly, but as he watched Lina work, something caught his attention that hadn't been visible during his previous inspections. The angle of the afternoon light streaming through the kitchen windows illuminated Lina's knife in a way that revealed markings on the blade's spine that he hadn't noticed before. Small notches were carved into steel, precisely cut and uniformly spaced. They weren't accidental damage or random scratches. They were deliberate markings that served a specific purpose. And Torres's combat experience told him exactly what purpose those markings served. Kill marks. Torres felt his blood pressure spike as he processed the implications of what he was observing. The knife in Lina's hands wasn't just a culinary tool. It was a weapon that bore the traditional markings used by soldiers and operatives to record successful eliminations of enemy personnel. Cross, Torres said quietly, his voice carrying a tension that hadn't been there moments before. I need to take a closer look at that knife. Lina immediately recognized a change in Torres's tone and demeanor. Her operational instincts activated automatically as she assessed the potential security breach and calculated response options. She had been careful to conceal the knife's markings during her months at Camp Meridian, but the afternoon lighting had betrayed her secret. Sergeant, is there a problem with my equipment? Lina asked carefully, maintaining her cover while evaluating how much Torres had observed and understood. Torres stepped closer, his eyes fixed on the notched spine of the blade. Those aren't cooking marks. Cross. I know exactly what those are. The kitchen suddenly felt smaller and more dangerous as the two of them faced each other across a divide that separated civilian contractor from military personnel, hidden operative from curious soldier. Lina realized that her carefully maintained cover was about to be irrevocably compromised. Sergeant, Lina said slowly, setting down the knife with deliberate care, I think we need to have a private conversation about this. Torres nodded grimly, his hand instinctively moving toward his sidearm as he processed the reality that the woman who had been preparing his meals for 8 months was carrying a weapon marked with a kill count that exceeded most combat veterans. Yeah, Torres replied, his voice tight with tension and growing suspicion. I think we definitely need to talk. And I think the colonel needs to be involved in this conversation immediately. Lina understood that her 8 months of successful cover operations had just ended with the simple act of knife maintenance in the wrong lighting conditions. Her secret was exposed, and she would now face whatever consequences resulted from the discovery of her true identity. Sergeant Torres, she said calmly, you're absolutely right. It's time for the truth. The revelation of Lina's knife markings triggered a cascade of security protocols that would transform her life at Camp Meridian. Within minutes, Torres was coordinating with base security to secure the kitchen area and arrange for an immediate meeting with Colonel Harrison. Cross, I need you to secure that knife and any other equipment you're carrying, Torres instructed, his tone now reflecting the serious security implications of his discovery. We're going to the Colonel's office right now. Lina complied with Torres's instructions, carefully wrapping her knife and securing it according to his directions. Her operational training had taught her to cooperate with security procedures while maintaining appropriate operational security about classified information. 20 minutes later, Lina sat across from Colonel Harrison and Sergeant Torres in the base commander's office, the knife that had betrayed her secret lying on the desk between them like evidence in a trial that would determine her future. Colonel Harrison was 48 years old, a career officer with 26 years of service, and the kind of measured judgment that came from managing complex military operations. He studied the knife with the analytical attention of someone who understood the significance of what he was observing. Ms. Cross, Colonel Harrison said carefully, Sergeant Torres has made some serious allegations about markings on your knife. I need you to explain exactly what we're looking at here. Lina met the colonel's gaze with the steady confidence that had marked her operational service. After months of hiding her true identity, the moment had come for revelation, and she approached it with the same professionalism that had characterized her military career. Colonel, she began, my name is Lina Cross, and I'm a former Special Operations Officer with Task Force Shadow. The markings on that knife represent successful mission completions during 5 years of classified service with a unit that conducts high-value target elimination operations. The silence that followed was profound. Torres felt his understanding of reality shift as he realized that the civilian contractor who had been preparing his meals was actually a special operations veteran with combat experience that far exceeded his own. Colonel Harrison leaned forward, his expression showing both surprise and professional interest. Task Force Shadow is a highly classified unit. How do I verify your claims without appropriate security clearances? Lina reached slowly into her uniform pocket and withdrew a small metal token that bore no identifying marks, but would be instantly recognizable to anyone with appropriate clearances. Colonel, This authentication token will verify my service record through appropriate classified channels. Harrison examined the token carefully, noting its unique characteristics and security features. His military experience told him that such items weren't casually acquired or easily counterfeited, and the token's presence suggested that Lina's claims had substance. Assuming your identity checks out, Harrison said, I need to understand why a special operations veteran with classified experience is working in my mess hall under civilian contractor status. Lina's expression grew somber as she prepared to explain the circumstances that had led to her current assignment. Colonel, my operational service was terminated following a mission in Eastern Europe that created political complications requiring my immediate extraction from active duty. My service record was classified, my identity was protected, and I was assigned a civilian contractor status to maintain operational security while serving in a capacity that utilized my skills. Torres struggled to process what he was hearing. Ma'am, you're telling us that you've been conducting special operations missions that officially don't exist, and now you're working in our kitchen to maintain cover for classified operations? That's correct, Sergeant, Lina replied. My unit conducted high-value target elimination in environments where conventional military action was impossible or politically unacceptable. The political fallout from our final mission required the complete erasure of our operational existence. Colonel Harrison studied the knife again, counting the notches with growing respect for what they represented. 17 confirmed eliminations. 17 successful mission completions, Lina corrected. Each one conducted under lawful orders and appropriate authority, targeting high-value assets who pose direct threats to American national security interests. The colonel sat back in his chair, clearly struggling to reconcile the image of a quiet kitchen worker with the reality of an elite operative whose combat record exceeded most of his command staff. The implications of having such an individual assigned to his base without his knowledge raised serious questions about operational security and command authority. Ms. Cross, Harrison said finally, if your service record is genuine, then you possess training and experience that far exceeds the requirement of food service operations. Why haven't you requested reassignment to positions that match your qualifications and capabilities? Lina's response reflected the discipline and duty that had marked her entire military career. Colonel, I serve where I'm assigned and in whatever capacity contributes to mission success. My current position allows me to maintain operational security while contributing to military operations in a way that supports overall readiness and effectiveness. Torres shook his head in amazement as he processed the full implications of what he had discovered. Ma'am, you've been preparing our meals and managing kitchen operations when you possess combat experience and operational skills that exceed most of our special operations personnel. Everyone serves according to their assignment and capabilities, Sergeant, Lina replied. Kitchen operations are essential to military readiness, and I've tried to perform those duties to the highest possible standards. Colonel Harrison reached for a secure phone, prepared to make the calls that would verify Lina's identity and determine the appropriate course of action regarding her current assignment status. Ms. Cross, I need to contact appropriate authorities to confirm your service record and discuss the implications of your presence here. Lina nodded understanding. Colonel, I'll cooperate fully with any investigation or verification process. My assignment here was arranged through appropriate channels, and I'm prepared to provide whatever documentation or testimony is required. As Harrison began making his secure calls, Torres found himself looking at Lina with completely different eyes. The woman he had dismissed as a civilian contractor was actually a special operations veteran whose expertise and experience exceeded most of the military personnel on the base. Ma'am, Torres said quietly, I owe you a profound apology. I had no idea of your background and service record, and my treatment of you has been inappropriate. Lina met his gaze with the same professional courtesy she had always shown. Sergeant, you treated me according to the information you had available. That's exactly what you should have done, and your discovery of my knife markings demonstrates good security awareness. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Lieutenant Stone, who had been summoned to provide additional information about Lina's performance and capabilities during the VIP dinner preparation. Stone entered the office with evident confusion about the nature of the meeting. Colonel, You requested my presence regarding Miss Cross's VIP dinner preparations? Stone asked, noting the serious atmosphere and the knife lying on the colonel's desk. Harrison gestured for Stone to take a seat. Lieutenant, I need your assessment of Miss Cross's performance and capabilities based on your interactions with her today. Stone glanced at Lina with growing curiosity about the nature of the investigation. Sir, Ms. Cross demonstrated exceptional competence in both culinary and security planning for this evening's event. Her awareness of security protocols and ability to identify potential vulnerabilities exceeded what I would expect from civilian contractor personnel. Can you be more specific about her security awareness? Harrison asked. Stone consulted her notes from the afternoon's coordination meeting. Sir, Ms. Cross identified multiple security vulnerabilities in our original serving protocols and provided detailed recommendations for modifications that would enhance security without compromising service quality. Her analysis demonstrated understanding of security considerations that typically require specialized training to recognize. Harrison exchanged glances with Torres, both of them noting that Stone's observations were consistent with Lina's claims about her operational background. Lieutenant, did Ms. Cross's recommendations prove valuable? Yes, sir. I coordinated her suggestions with base security, and they confirmed that her modifications would significantly enhance security protocols for the VIP event. Her input was highly professional and demonstrated sophisticated understanding of security operations. 3 hours later, Colonel Harrison completed his secure communications and returned to address Lina with information that would change everything about her assignment and future service opportunities. Ms. Cross, the colonel said, I confirmed your identity and service record with appropriate authorities. Your reputation within the special operations community is extraordinary, and your service record reflects the highest levels of professional competence and dedication. Lina waited for him to continue, understanding that verification was only the first step in determining how her exposure would affect her future assignments and operational security requirements. Additionally, Harrison continued, I've been authorized to offer you several assignment options that would better utilize your training and experience. These include positions with our Special Operations Training Program, coordination roles with classified operations, and leadership opportunities that match your qualifications. The offer represented a potential return to meaningful military service after 18 months of professional exile in civilian contractor status. Lina felt a surge of emotion that she carefully controlled as she considered the implications of accepting assignments that would restore her to positions matching her capabilities. Colonel, she said, I would be honored to accept whatever assignment best served the needs of military operations and national security. Harrison smiled for the first time since the meeting had begun. Outstanding. Your first option is a position as senior instructor with our Advanced Special Operations Training Program. Your expertise in close quarters combat, target elimination, and operational planning will provide valuable training opportunities for our most elite personnel. As they concluded the meeting, Torres approached Lina with newfound respect and curiosity about her background and potential contributions to base operations. Ma'am, would you be willing to provide specialized training to our NCO development program? Your operational experience could significantly benefit our junior leadership development. Lina nodded approvingly. I'd be happy to contribute to NCO development, Sergeant. Leadership skills and tactical awareness are essential at every level of military operations. Lieutenant Stone also approached with interest in Lina's potential contributions to base security and operations planning. Ma'am, your security analysis today was exceptional. Would you be available to review our overall base security protocols and provide recommendations for improvements? I'd be honored to assist with security planning, Lieutenant, Lina replied. Effective security requires constant evaluation and improvement. Over the following weeks, Lina's transition from kitchen contractor to special operations instructor transformed her role at Camp Meridian and provided valuable training opportunities for military personnel who had previously seen her only as a civilian support worker. Her expertise in combat techniques, tactical planning, mission execution, and operational security, provided training curricula that significantly enhanced the capabilities of both special operations personnel and conventional military units. The kitchen knife that had revealed her secret became a teaching tool for demonstrating the importance of situational awareness and the recognition that expertise can be found in unexpected places. The soldiers who had shared meals prepared by Lina discovered that they had been in the presence of one of the military's most accomplished special operations veterans. Her story spread to the base and beyond as a reminder about the importance of recognizing expertise regardless of apparent position or assignment, and the value that experienced personnel bring to military operations even when their contributions aren't immediately visible. For Lina, the revelation of her identity had ended 18 months of professional exile and restored her to meaningful military service that utilized her training and experience. Her time as a dismissed contractor had taught her valuable lessons about humility, patience, and the importance of every person's contribution to military operations. The Special Operations Training Program benefited from instruction by someone who understood both the theoretical foundations and practical applications of advanced combat techniques. Lina's ability to teach close-quarters combat, infiltration methods, target elimination, and operational planning provided training opportunities that significantly enhanced the readiness and effectiveness of military personnel. Most importantly, the personnel at Camp Meridian learned that expertise and heroism can be found in unexpected places, that assumptions about people based on their apparent roles can be dangerously wrong, and that true professionals demonstrate their worth through consistent performance rather than seeking recognition or advancement. The kitchen knife that had revealed Lina's secret remained a symbol of the hidden service that protects national security through operations that can never be officially acknowledged. Each notch on its spine represented not just a successful mission, but a reminder that freedom's guardians often serve in shadows, their contributions known only to those they protect and the enemies they eliminate. Lina's story concluded with the understanding that true warriors serve wherever they're needed, that professional worth transcends official position, and that the most valuable contributors to national security are often those who perform their duties with quiet excellence while carrying secrets that shape the course of history. Her knife, with its 17 carefully carved marks, remained a testament to service that required the ultimate sacrifice, not of life, but of recognition, acknowledgement, and the career she had earned through years of dedication to missions that officially never happened but protected American interests in the world's most dangerous places. The transformation of Lina Cross from dismissed kitchen contractor to special operations instructor illustrated the dangers of organizational assumptions and the importance of recognizing talent regardless of its apparent packaging. Her patient endurance of 18 months undercover had not only protected operational security, but had also prepared her for leadership responsibilities that required understanding both excellence and humility.